wrong about it.
Working night.
Hey, he's here.
He what? He's here.
Yeah, he's here.
Dali.
Also, that profile picture.
He missed us.
Okay, so how's it going?
Oh, he missed us.
Yeah,
Oh.
so I'm planning out to give the exam to review. Let me just double check that real quick, and I hope that everybody stay healthy and safe and well, during that.
Yo, don't be playing like that.
Yeah, you better stay away from me.
Joking.
All right.
Jokes.
All right. So anyhow, how's everybody doing so far?
You didn't answer my emails.
Did I?
He was on break.
You like answered one of them, and then I immediately emailed you after, and then I got no response.
Leave him alone.
At that time, I was busy cleaning the house and playing around with my dogs. So all right. So I hope that everybody doing quite well during
I
a difficult
guess.
time. And now I would like to have all of you look at the board, and we're gonna
Right to business.
yeah. and hopefully that you guys gonna see the file that I uploaded. And today I'm gonna post the exam review. There will be around 43 questions. It should be right here. It's the file, the file for the exam to review. There will be around 43 questions, and you have 1 week to complete that, to complete all of these questions. Yeah. So that's gonna be like part of your homework questions. And after you complete them, you have to submit them on Sunday, I believe. And yeah,
Well, just say we have a week.
I mean, you have 5 days actually. I apologize.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so you're gonna complete as many questions as you can, and I'm gonna count them as 5 points. So let's say you have 43 questions. If you can do around 30 questions, I'm gonna give you 5 points for that. Okay, fair enough.
This is my kind of test.
Oh, wait, sorry. Hold on. Wait, what? So we have to solve. Each question is 5 points.
No. I mean, all of them will be 5 points to your homework questions. Okay, that basically like 5 classwork that you have. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. So basically, each questions, I would say 30 question would be 5 points. 20 question will be, you know how to do the math for that, right? And if you only do 2 questions, you know how many points that you miss. Okay. So there will be 43 questions. As you can see, all of these questions are not very challenging. Maybe one small question at a time, and it wouldn't be taking us that long to finish all of this. Okay.
Are we gonna go over classwork 10?
I do not have time to go over, but let me double check the classwork. Let me just take a look at that real quick and see how it's going to matter to us. So classwork 10 is includes a lot of difficult questions, so I skipped them and put them on the exam.
What? So
I'm kidding for that. Okay. Yeah. So classwork 10 is definitely the question that it took from the test generator. So do you see I have a test generators right here. So I can generate a lot of like 10,000 questions. 10,000 questions at a time. So you can look for the answer for that. Yeah. So those questions definitely gonna be one of them. And I'm not gonna go over these questions, but I would definitely post the solution on Blackboard. Fair enough.
Oh, so you'll post the solution for this?
Yeah, the classwork solution. So in fact, how can you look for the classwork solution? But you have to give me some time. You cannot just say, well, I mean, I want the solution immediately. Is that gonna, So in fact, I'm gonna post the classwork and its solutions on this folder in the future time. So let's say I put classwork 11 and classwork 10 solutions, classwork 12 and classwork 11 solutions, and classwork 13, and then classwork 12 solution. So we can keep going like that on this folder. Any questions so far? Are we good? So, I'm sorry?
When's the test?
The test will be right after we finish up the 6. Today we're going to finish them.
Wait, what?
So the test will be next Tuesday.
Okay.
That's exam 2 is next Tuesday.
Exactly. How happy you are, right?
Ecstatic.
Okay.
So excited.
So excited, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Wait, we
And-
only have a week to do it? Oh, God.
So those are homework, and you can definitely gonna check and try to practice as many questions as you can. In fact, the exam review questions include most of these, but I took away a lot of them. And of course, that you need to just do all of these questions and see how it's mattered to us. Okay, and also the classwork questions. I might bring the classwork 10 and put them on the exam, but since we have solution on it, and very likely that I'm gonna get the question changed, the number for that. So, and the exam again, that you have to take the exam over here since we no longer have a class on campus. So meaning that we have to take the exam online. Feel happy or not happy so far?
Not happy because you said it's much harder.
not gonna be much harder, but I would say it would be a little bit different format that you take the quiz. So let's say I'm gonna generate a test right there, for example, and I'm sorry.
Nothing.
So I created the exam using the test chain, which is the folder that it has right here, and then after that I'm gonna post it on this under assignments. There'll be how many exam quizzes, whatever it is, and I just import the exam there. There'll be multiple choice question. There'll be different question for that, and of course the question will be changed according to the question that you have. And so let's say you guys might not have a set of questions with different order for that, and so you got to be really careful for that. And so the exam 2 again, you have to show work. So how can you show the work for that? Very simple. Let's say the first one, I'm gonna give the test, and the second one, I just create one folder for the assignment. So I put down exam 2 work. Okay, so very simple. And I'm going to write them down. You need to submit your work. You got to take a picture for that and submit your work using this column for that. So I feel like that's going to be fair that you're going to submit it right here. And so everything that you wrote down on the paper, you have to upload it on Blackboard. So that will be your credit as well. Okay.
So you'll have us submit the test, and then after we submit the test, then you'll give us more time to to submit our work.
Yeah. So let's say after you submit the exam, of course you have the questions, right? I'm going to give us around 30 minutes or 1 hour to submit your work on Blackboard. So it have to be the exact same order that you have done on the exam. So because each person going to have given different questions, you guys kind of have different order on the exam, but exactly same order of the work that you submitted. So that shouldn't be the case. So you got to be really careful when you submit the work. Is have to be the same order that you took the test. Okay.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you take the test, you answer the questions in the order that they're given.
Yeah, so because
okay.
we have a different order of the questions, so each person, so the first question, you might have the question from chapter 6, another person, they may have the question from chapter 5, and so on and so forth, right? So you can't just have the same order when you submit the work. That doesn't make any sense to me. And so it has to be exactly the same order of the exam that you take. That's fair enough?
Yeah.
And also because if you see a question that is multiple choice question, if you get the wrong answers, I give partial credit for that if you show me the work. So remember that if you show the work, even if you get the wrong answers, you don't lose all the points. So make sure that the work matter and the work counts a lot when it comes to the exam.
Is it going to be like like 13 questions. What was it? What was the last test? Like 14.
The
questions?
last test was 17 questions.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like that.
It's
How
gonna be
much time do we have on?
it's
test?
gonna be around 20 questions on the second exam, but it should
Oh,
be
what? That's crazy.
it should be like a shorter format instead of a longer format compared to the third exam. And how much time do we have? We have exactly 2 hours plus 30 minutes. Up to 1 hour that you can submit the work. So in order to make it fair, I want everybody to take the exam at the same time. Start at 6 a.m. I'm sorry, 6 p.m. I'm sorry about that. 6 p.m.
6 a.m.
Wait,
wake
not-
up for a test.
Wait, can you
It's like-
change it to like 6:10 because I have a class that like is right before this one.
Okay, so I might change the exam to 6:10, making sure that people will gonna take the exam at the same time and finish the exam at 8:10 as well. So after that, we're gonna have to submit your work, upload the work on Blackboard as well. Okay.
So just to clarify,
Yeah.
it's so exam hypothetically starts at 6:10.
Yeah.
And then it ends. You should stop working at 8:10, and then you have
8:10,
30
yeah.
minutes to submit your exam.
Yeah, to submit
then-
the work on the exam, of the exam on Blackboard. So this is all we have to do. Okay.
So, but we have to submit two things, right? We have to submit our
Yeah.
answers.
No,
and
no,
then-
no. The answers you just click on the exam and do them. You just do the answers for 2 hours, and then you submit the work for 30 minutes. That's it.
Oh,
Okay, so it sounds a little bit complicated, but again, that's the social distance learning for us, and I believe it's very challenging. And I hope that you understand the difficult situation that we've been through, and hopefully that you guys going to study for that reason. So
Wait, Professor, question. So just to be clear, so on the exam itself, we're just putting the answers in, and then we have a separate document we take photos of that we upload for the work. Yeah.
that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When is classwork 10 due?
The classwork 10, I think I put the due date for that. And the classwork 10 is due, I don't even check the due date, so you can, now I can make the due date up to Thursday. So let's say the due date will be on March 25th, okay? So you have to submit the exam by Wednesday.
exam or
Classwork.
classwork
No,
10?
classwork
Classwork
10.
10.
I apologize for that.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
All right. So, and any other question that you have?
The questions you said that are due by Sunday for us, those tonight.
Actually, I got sidetracked from the noises, and can somebody?
Oh yeah, okay. So the work that you said we have to do by Sunday, is that going to be posted tonight or it's already posted?
Absolutely tonight. Yeah. So I finished all the questions. I just basically take some time to post them, and
So we only have until Sunday, not next Tuesday.
yes, should be Sunday. You don't have to do all of this question. Just do 30 questions for that, and I'm gonna post the answers to you on Monday. Okay.
Oh, I see.
All right, fair enough. So this time, I know that study on Zoom is very difficult, and then I really post the answer key for that, so we can check them out if you get it right or get it wrong. But I do not show the step. I just put down the answer as simple as that. Okay.
Oh, could we ask you to show us the steps if we need it? Because like
That-
you said that
Yeah.
like on Skype and stuff that you had like those office hours. Like, can we like do a private
Yeah.
video call and then you show us the steps?
I feel like I got rid of Skype. I never.
Oh,
Yeah, I apologize. But yeah, I can't get there. So but I basically go. You can email me a list, and I can definitely gonna get the Skype is now. I don't use Skype for holding class, except for business meeting. So if you really need to get help, so we're gonna come back on Thursday maybe, and then we're gonna start working on it together. Okay.
oh, okay.
And then of course I will basically answer the questions along the time that we studying or the chapters all together. Okay. If we need more time, I might postpone the exam until next Thursday. I feel like that's gonna be
I feel like that's better.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be
all
better.
right. pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
only because it gives us more time to do those and go over those questions that you're gonna post.
Yeah, so I will be if I postpone the exam on Thursday, meaning that you
Over.
guys have to submit the work by Tuesday.
Oh, that's better. As
But you have
opposed
to do all 43
That's
questions.
fine. That's fine.
I'd rather do all 43 questions and do it on Tuesday than do 30 and have
No,
to
no,
do
no.
it
You have
Monday.
to finish by Tuesday, not do it on Tuesday. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that is not the situation where people just keep reminding me. Well, I mean, I can do all the work by one single hour. That is not cool, and we don't have enough time to finish all of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
me personally, I'd rather just do all the questions by Tuesday and have the test Thursday, so we can at least go over it.
Exactly. So the reason behind that, because after you finish everything by Tuesday, I can go over it. We still have some good memory, some fresh memory, and we know what's going on for that, and we
Ready
can
to do
actually
that?
do it better. Yeah. So statistically speaking, if I run the review, let me just finish that. If I run the review on Tuesday, and I apologize for my dog barking. If I run the review on Tuesday, and then we do the exam on Thursday, I believe that the result comes out should be a lot better. Okay.
All right, so we'll do that.
Yeah. So and any other questions about the work? So starting from today, you have to look for classwork
So
and
what
solutions.
does can do?
Yes, classwork here and solution here as well. So make sure that you're not gonna go back and look for where's my classwork 11. So you have to click on those folders, right? It's a very simple task. I believe that everybody can do it. So I'm going to change the file for the chapter 6 summary. I believe that most of you will not download it until now. So I changed the files. The reason why I changed the file because I really want you guys to be able to read them and do all of that easier than So I have actually very specific instruction that you can basically use the chart and when you read them it should be clear better and looks better for that. Okay, so any other concern?
Are you recording these Zoom sessions so we can reference them as well?
Well, I mean, I usually record it, but let me just double check.
And then
I
when
think
she
you can.
asks
I think you
narrative-
can record it. Wait. Anyone seen the little flashy light? The babe.
Yeah, on the top left-hand side, it now says recording.
Yeah.
I see, but again, the reason
But
why I'm not.
I think you can record it yourself when you toggle down to the little bar at the bottom.
You have to get permission, though, from the person holding the meeting to do that.
Mr. Lee.
So I mean, yes, you can actually record it, but the reason why I do not want people to record it, and because my voice sound sucks. That's one of the reasons. And
No.
the second reason is that I want people to come to the class instead of just listening to the audio and recording.
Gotcha.
It
That
is-
makes sense.
It is actually not a good point, and I would take attendance out the class, and just want to be fair. So after. Just wanted to clarify this. So for those of you who actually want to see the note that we did in class, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to create a folder very, very, very quickly for that. So let's say I'm going to create the content area I would call lecture notes, okay? So this page basically includes the note that we did. I feel like that's going to be fair enough and to keep track of what we have done during the Zoom meeting. So I'm gonna post the recording. The content, the lecture notes here, and you can literally go into see the note and what's been going on during this those lectures. And another reason why I do not want to upload the recording, first I have to upload it on YouTube or any other. I mean the Dropbox or whatever it is. It takes a lot of files. And it takes longer to embed it, the videos and the content on the Blackboard. But for the future study, I might upload the videos, a certain video that you can learn. And I don't have time to make all of these videos because I have to work as well. So I'm going to upload certain videos that people study or people instructed how to read the chart, for example, on Blackboard, you can read that along the ways. Fair enough?
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
That's fair.
So let's continue on to chapter 6. Chapter 6. Any questions about the uniform distribution? I feel like that's just pretty much the thing that we did, correct? And I believe that none of us have any trouble. So now I would like to ask people how we can find the probability of z less than negative 1.25. What should we do? Anyone still remember?
It's been so long.
Don't you
It's-
do the z-score of negative 1.25, like 1 minus the z-score of negative 1.25?
We don't necessarily have to do 1 minus. Let me just go over it. I know it's been pretty long for us after the long break and a lot of worries, concerns, but now let's start working on it. For example, I want to figure out what is the probability of z less than 1.25. So this time I'm not going to use the shares on Zoom is sucks, so it doesn't save the file. And if I want to, let's say I want to do this, I want to compute the z-score of 1.25. Let me just do that real quick, okay? For example, I want to figure this out. What should I do? So
Don't you look at it on the Z table? You don't have to subtract this one. You just go to the negative 1.2 and then over to 0.05.
That's fantastic. So all we have to do that we go to the table number 3 instead of table number 3A because we observe this number is negative. Are we good? Yeah. Do we believe that negative 1.25 is a negative value? Yes or no?
Yes.
If you say no, I'm going to put you back to the kindergarten. I'm just kidding, okay? So this one is, I believe this guy is negative z value. And so if this guy is negative, then we have to go to table number 3. And for that reason, we look it up on the chart and we're going to figure out the answers immediately. Okay, so what should I do? I have to go to negative 1.2 and 0.05, correct? What is the answer for that?
0.1056.
0.1056. So I believe this is gonna be the final answers. And we don't have to subtract from 1 because the chart already gives us the area on the left side. So we don't have to do, we don't have to subtract. Unless we have the bigger, then we have to subtract them. So let me just put them down real quick. This one is less than, okay? So we're not gonna subtract them. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very straightforward. So now Ashley, help us read the charts right here. So we're gonna go to negative 1.2 and 0.05, get 0.1056. And I upload a chart as well, so you can see what the area looks like on the diagram. So now I want to look for the probability of z greater than 2.1. What should I do?
Wait, I have a question.
Yes, you have a question.
Just to confirm, you look up what number is next to negative 1.2 and then negative 0.05 and you add them together?
No, we're not gonna read it that way. Let me show you how to read that, okay? So first,
Okay.
I'm going to draw a small box for that, okay? And this is, I call this one is z. So I look at the first digit and then the first decimal, so that is negative 1.2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I have to go to the negative z chart, which is this chart, which is that one. So negative 1.2 right there, right? And then the second decimal number that you have is 5, right? So I'm gonna read this guy at 0.05 on the column. So we're gonna go to, I believe my handwriting still sucks. So I go to 0.05 on this column, 0.05.
Okay.
On this column. So we're gonna take the intersection between the row -1.2 and then the column 0.05. And I
Got it.
believe that we're gonna get the answers, which is 0.1056. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna read them. So you read that as -1.25. We're not gonna add them, we're not gonna subtract them, we'll just read it that way. So this column, the first column represents the first digit and the first decimal number. And then all of these, the first row represent the second decimal numbers that we have. So remember, the z-score basically comprises the first row and then the first column, right? So this is the row and this is the column. And that, all of this will be the probability. Okay, so let's say 0.0222, basically the probability that corresponds to the z-score of -2.0 and 0.01. Okay, so let's say we look at this 0.0735, that would be the probability that corresponds to -1.4 and 0.05. When we go to table number 3A, right, when you read that, so what the difference between these two charts? So table number 3 basically include all the negative z values, right? So we can see all of these are negative values. So -1.2, -1.7, -0.6, and so on and so forth. Table 3A includes all the positive z values, so we don't see any negative z right there, right? So very likely all of these values should be bigger than 0.5 because half of them will be 0.05. So anything that is bigger than 0 should comprise the probability bigger than 0.5. So we can literally see that. So let's say I go to 1.03, I can see that the probability that corresponds to it is 0.8485.
You gave us these in class, right? Didn't you? Before we left, I think.
Yeah, he gave us the table.
I give you a chart. This is a chart that you can upload it. I'm sorry, you can find it on Blackboard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you did hand out like this to us.
I did. I'm nice enough to hand it out. To hand out all of these the chart. I print it out nicely, and then I give each of you one version for that. So. But you can also print it out at home if you missed them or if you lost it. And so it's basically available on Blackboard. So now we're gonna go to another question. For example, I want to look for the probability of z greater than -2.1. What should I do? So, so we have to notice that this number is negative, positive.
Negative.
Negative, right? So if this guy is negative, then we have to go to table 3, okay? Table 3. So I put them down as table 3. Are we good?
Yes.
And so we go to table number 3, and then you basically figure this out. And how can I figure out -2.1?
It's equal to 0.179.
Yes. So we have to go to -2.1, but what is the second decimal number that we have?
0.
0. So we have to go to the first column, and then the answer for that is 0.0179. Are we good? Okay, so this is the answers. And this is the answers.
Wait, why wouldn't it be 1 minus in this situation? Because I thought z was greater than.
Very good. So now you basically know that. So everybody see the side right here? This is the side greater than. Do we agree?
Yeah.
So whenever the side greater than or more than, what's going on for that? So we have to take
1 minus.
Yeah, 1 minus what we have read on the chart. So we're going to take 1 minus this values, and the answer for that would be equal to
0.9821.
0.9821. Okay, so this is actually the true answer for this. Okay, so and you can literally see that if I want to look for the probability greater after I read on a chart, which is 0.0179, and then I have to subtract by 1. So I subtract from 1, I take 1 minus 0.179, and the answer should be 0.9821. Any other questions? Because I want to figure out a probability that goes to the right. So the chart only gives us the probability that goes to the left side. So I have to take 100%, which is the total area under the chart, which is also the probability as well. I subtract what you read on the chart, I get the probability that goes to the right. Any questions?
Mm-mm.
And similarly, I want you to look for the probability that the z greater than 1.08. And we're gonna do the same thing. Do we agree? So can somebody tell me if this guy is positive or negative?
Positive.
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 If this guy is positive, then we have to go to table number?
3.
No.
No, 2.
A 2. That's
Three?
3A.
I don't know.
3A.
On the page that I have, it's different.
Okay.
On your pages are different. You're gonna go check your eyes.
No,
And-
no.
No?
Don't you be
All right.
saying I got bad eyes. I know I need an eye appointment.
Okay. I do have an appointment. I wouldn't go there because of the outbreak. I'd rather
No,
stay home.
I just got eye insurance, so I have to wait.
So it'd be 0.8599.
Exactly. So I basically I have to go to 1.0 and 0.08. So I'm gonna get the z-score 1.08, and the answer for that is 0.8599. Are we good? So we can read directly on the chart, right? The positive, then we have to go to table 3A, which is the 3 continuing on that. You have to go to the column 1.0. I mean the row 1.0 and column 0.08. So we're gonna get the answer, which is 0.8599. Are we good?
You have to subtract it though.
Yeah. So and after that, we're gonna subtract by 1s in order to get the final answers.
And it's always going to be 1 minus whatever the z-score is.
Only if
Exactly.
the z-score is greater though, right?
Yeah, only when we have the z-score greater than a certain number. So we have to subtract by 1. Are we good?
If
Yeah.
that the z-score is. Oh wait. Never mind.
Are we good for that? Any other questions? Any concerns? I don't see people chat or ask questions.
No, we're good, I think.
All right. So again, whenever we have the size greater, what should I do? I have to take 1 minus what you read on the chart, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I have to take 1 minus what you read on the chart.
The z-score can never be negative, right? Or can it?
The probably can never be negative. The reason behind them, even if you get a z-score is negative, but when you read, the probably always be positive. It cannot be bigger than 1 as well.
Oh, isn't it because the normal distribution is equal to 1, so it
Yeah.
shouldn't go less
It
than
shouldn't,
0
yeah.
or 0%?
It would never be like a negative number minus a number, right?
Exactly. So we never have any negative value subtract another negative value. That doesn't make sense. Except when we have the z-score. The z-score can be negative, but the probability is always be positive.
Okay.
So this is that you might want to take note out of it. So clearly that I show you how to read the chart. I get 0.599, and then I subtract from 1 to get this probability greater than, and I get the answers. No, I think I actually won.
Next question. Next one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that one. So I got the answers as I subtract from 1. I got the answer, which is 0.141.
So
Okay.
do you want to leave it in decimal or percent? It really doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't matter, but when it comes to the exam, so if I ask you this question like that on the exam, I might just give you this small question like that. Okay, maybe. No, it worth 1 point, maybe 1 or 2 points. Yeah, maybe worth 2 points. So all we have to do.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I look so happy for that. So all we have to do So you just basically leave the answers as 0.1401, or you have alternate answers, which is 14.01%. Either answers will be more correct on the exam. So you don't have to worry about whether I should leave the answers decimal or whether I should leave the answers at this percentage.
Cool.
So they must give you the same, give you the correct answers anyway. And now we're gonna go to the part D. So how can they find the probability of the bow? So as we have learned from before the spring break, I believe, and most of you didn't ask me a lot of questions. Maybe you feel shy, or maybe you forgot, or maybe you don't care, right? So how can I look for the probability of the bow? Yeah, you don't care. You look so tired. Okay. And
Joking.
so do you believe this guy is negative?
It's negative and that's positive.
Right? So if this guy is negative, then we have to go to table 3.
A.
No, just
No, the positive one. The positive one is 3A.
Positive.
The
Okay.
positive one is 3A.
So just
Just
get rid of
3, because
three.
3 has negative. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we want the
So
negative.
okay, that's fair enough. So don't fall into my trap. I might say something, but I don't expect you to say something else. But this is we have
It'd
to
be
go to
0.0934.
exactly. So we have to go to these two charts, and we figure out the probability that correspond to the value that you found this. So for negative 1.32, I go to table number.
Is it
Zero.
0.0934? Is that wrong?
So negative 1.32.
0.934.
So that should
Yeah.
be 0.0934. And yeah, you got to be confident, right?
Wow.
Wow.
What's the other one?
0.0934.
And
0.5948.
yeah,
Yeah. And I go to 0.24. I go to table number 3A. And
you're gonna subtract them.
yeah, so that should be 0.5948, right? So this one you're gonna be 0.5948.
Yeah.
So but I want to answer the questions. I need to take what? I need to take the bigger probability and subtract
0.
the smaller probability.
0.59.
Wouldn't it be 0.0934 plus 1 minus 0.5948?
No, you just subtract these two.
Just subtract this, sure. You're not gonna make my life complicated. I'm
Oh.
not gonna make your life complicated. I mean, they're actually an alternative way to solve this questions, but definitely you choose the easiest way to deal with that. So when you subtract these two numbers, what is the answers? So we're gonna get 0.5015, right? 14.
Professor.
Yeah.
For the first part, like the negative 1.32, the z is greater than. Why wouldn't we subtract 1 from that?
Yeah. So this is let me just finish that. I couldn't really write this, and let me
You
just
do it
make
at the end? Can you do it at the end or no?
All right. So let me just explain it real quick. Let me just mark the answers. So this is the answers, right? So let me just draw a picture for that. Excuse me for the drawing.
I thought you hated pictures.
I know I hate picture, but I have to use picture to make you guys confused about the questions. Okay. Okay. So I need to go from negative 1.32, right? And it's bounded between negative 1.32 and 0.24, right? Are we good? So we look for this probability. Do we agree? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and some of you might be asking, should I take the probability of z? Let me just rewrite them. So
Oh, that makes sense.
I want to take the probability of z. I can take 100% minus the probability of the z greater than 0.24, correct?
You mean no?
And minus, let me just say that, minus the probability of the z less than a negative 1.32. Okay, so I can also do that, right? Do we agree? I can take 100% and subtract the probability that is greater than 0.24 and subtract the probability that less than negative 1.32. Correct? I can always do that. So, but this guy gonna be the same as the probability as 1 minus the probability of the z less than 0.24 that you can read directly from the chart. So apparently that you're gonna get the same thing. I mean, you just make the procedure more complicated, but it's definitely gonna be the case that we can, and then so the answers turns out still be the probability of the z less than 0.24, subtract the probability of z less than negative 1.32.
That's just because the number is greater than you.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Some of you might be thinking, saying, can I do for that one? Can I do the probability of the z? Oh, let me just erase that. Can I just do the probability of of the z greater than less than 0.24 minus the probability of z greater than negative 1.32? This is what you meant, correct? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not correct, because if I take the probability of z less than 0.24, which is I'm doing this area, the left area, I subtract the probability greater than negative 1.32. That doesn't help us to get the middle area. Okay, you have to think of it when you look at the area part. Okay, so it's not necessarily working that way. So this is not correct. Okay, are we good? So again, the easiest way that we can do for this type of questions is that, what should I do? I take the bigger probability, subtract the small probability, as simple as that, when you read on the chart. Are we good?
So would you do that process for every question like this?
Yeah, we have to do the process for every question that bounded between two. What you have to do for the z-score, I read the positive, or both positive, both negative, doesn't matter. I read the second one first. I get a bigger probability, and I read the first one later on, which use the small probability. And after that, I take the big, subtract the small. That's it.
Okay, simple enough.
Right, as simple as that. In terms of probability, some of you might be doing 0.24 minus negative 1.32. You don't get point for that, okay? So this one have to be in terms of the probability. So you have to read first. We have to read, right? We have to open the eyes and read on chapter 3 and 3a, okay? Read first. Read the probability on chapter 3, on table 3 and 3a. All right, so that's pretty much it. Any other questions for 6.2, part of 6.2? And so you can actually see how I finished the questions, and you can check them on the notes and beside the note that we have on this folder. So I'm going to save them as lecture notes for Math 117, part 1. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the next part. The next part would be something that we have right here. So you can practice those questions on Blackboard on this file. So, but however, most of the data set that we have usually do not give us the area equal to, the mean equal to 0, right? And the standard deviation equal to 1. So the normal distributions that we usually encounter, that we have data set, usually do not give the mean equal to 0 and the standard deviation equal to 1. So remember, they will not give us this number, these values. The reason behind that, because you can't find in data set that give you mean equal to 0 a simple set, right? So do not give it this. So what we have to do, they're gonna give us the x, okay? And then we need to convert to the z. This is the step that we have to do. So what is the formula that we can convert them? So the formula for that would be very straightforward. And so let's say I have the mean equal to 3. How can I shift to the mean equal to 0?
Slide to the
we
left.
subtract them, right? We shift 3 to the left, you have to subtract the mean, right? So in fact, I need to take the x, I subtract the mean. And so for the standard deviation, basically work the same. So how can I, for example, I got some data set that gives me the standard deviation equal to 2. How can I convert to the standard deviation equal to 1? So
Minus, oh,
no, minus, it's different. The standard deviation represent the ratio and how much scatter of the data set. So we cannot do the minus or we cannot do the add. We have to divide them, correct? So we can think of it. You look at this picture, you can see. It's just like when you sheet the curve y equal to x squared to y equal to x squared over 2. You see the ratio different? So this one is basically shrinking, correct? Everybody sees that? And apparently that you have to divide it by standard deviations in order to complete the the transformation. So in other words, I give you a certain data set that give us any mean and any standard deviations. And all we have to do, just shift this back to the standard normal using the formulas z equal to x minus the mean divided by standard deviation.
Kind of like slope, like rise over run and shit like that.
I'm sorry?
That kind of reminds me of like slope, like
The
rise,
slope?
like rise,
You
know what I mean?
the
Like,
rise over runs? No, it has nothing to do with the slope.
no, I was,
yeah. This has something to do with the graph transformation. If you took the algebra in high school, that you might learn how to shape the curve for the ratio of x. So this one is stretching around the x-axis, and this is basically a thing that we have to worry about.
sorry. So x is just any value, right?
Yeah. So any value. So meaning that I might give you the mean equal to 100 and the standard deviation equal to 20. And all we have to do, I convert to the z-score and we read the chart to figure out the probability. So let's take one example and see how it works. So the example that I give will be, so you can write out a step. So the step will be very straightforward. Let me just put it here. So the step 1, we're gonna convert it, right? Convert x to z to the standard normal. And step 2, we're gonna read the chart. We're gonna find the probability of the chart. That's it on table. Okay, and this is basically a step that you might want to take note of it. But
So,
yeah.
sorry. So to turn a data set to give you the z-score, it's the z-score is equal to the data set minus mean over standard deviation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
pretty much like that. All the data set, but of course, the statistics only interested in the modeling, right? So we're not going to look at any specific data set, but if we want to pick a certain conditions, let's take a look at one example that we have. The weight of a turkey, for example, is normally distributed with the mean equal to 22 pounds and the standard deviation equal to 5. So let's say you randomly pick a turkey, for example, you love turkey, you want to eat them. And what are the chances that if I pick a turkey and that turkey weighs no more than 12, right? So this is the key concern that you might have for this type of questions. Okay, let me just put it there right here. So that you go to the supermarket and you sort of figured it out, and you know, for the questions, I mean, the mean actually equal to 22. So this one, basically the mean equal to 22. And the standard deviation equal to 5, right? This is standard deviation. Apparently the standard deviation, they give us the word, and we can't run away from these questions on the exam. So the question would be, what are the chances that if you go to the supermarket and then you pick a turkey that weighs no more than 12? Okay, so the question will be right here. Find the probability that random selected turkey weighs no more than 12 pounds? This is the question that we need to answer. Are we good? So what should we do? First, that we need to read the questions real quick. So this one, I need to figure out the P, correct? Right? And this one, a randomly selected turkey, so I call this one as X. Are we good? No more than mean what? No more than mean less than. Cool? 12. Does it make sense? So what's going on for that part is that I'm going to write down the solutions as I need to figure out a probability of X less than 12. As simple as this, right? We read the question, we know the fact that the probability the P stand for probability, a randomly selected turkey, meaning that you randomly pick up a turkey, which is X, and we need a change for that, so that is less than 12.
Sorry, would it be the probability of X is less than or equal to 12?
No more. The equal side doesn't matter because when it comes to the continuous model, the equal side, the probability at any specific point would be 0. Okay, so we don't really have the probability for any point. This is different from chapter 5, where the chapter 5 can count them. For chapter 6, I cannot count all of this. The only thing that I can do is I have to look at the interval, okay? So the interval part will be the area under the curve, so that also be the probability. This is how we define probability that way. So any specific point, so let's say when you put down the equal sign, that doesn't affect us at all. It's gonna still give it the same thing as the probability of X less than 12, right? So all of these problems turns out to be what happening, let's say, what are the chances I can pick a turkey that we weigh exactly 12 pounds? So this question will not exist. The reason behind that, because there'll be so many turkeys, and you cannot find any turkey that weigh exactly 12 pounds, okay? You cannot find any turkey that weighs exactly 12. I mean, it can be like 11.999, but it can never reach a 12. This is what's different between the binomial and the normal distributions, and also different between the discrete model and the continuous model. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, something that related to the weight, the length, and certain thing, the measure thing, the measure part that you can't count them. We call them countable measurements. So all of this, I consider them as a continuous model. So for this type of question, I want to answer the question as the probability of X less than 12. So first, I need to convert that to the Z-score. Are we good?
Yeah.
Right? How can I convert that to the Z? How can I convert X to the Z?
Would be Z is equal to 12 minus 22 over 5.
Yeah, that's it. And all we have to do is literally just subtract the mean and divide it by standard deviation. As simple as that. So we need to pick the X. So how can I get the X? The X should be right here, right? So this is the X. Okay, this is how we're gonna find the X. It should be 12. And then I take the X, which is 12, and which is right here. I minus 22, which is the mean, and divided by the standard deviation, which is 5. And when we do it on a calculator, what is the answers?
Isn't it just -2? Yeah.
-2. Oh, you even do it slower than I type on the screen. Shame on you.
I was copying down what you had.
Okay, anyhow. And so this is what we have to do on a calculator, right? Do we agree? But again, since we take the exam online, so we can't just use the Google, right? This faster. So let's say I ask Professor Google, for example, how can we do -12, 12 minus 22, over 5. So the answer for that is -2. Okay. And so after I get the z equal to -2, what should I do next?
Look at the chart.
Exactly. So now we no longer deal with the x. We just literally just deal with the standard normal z-score. So, and again, that -2 basically the same as -2.00. So even if the question doesn't give us any decimal point, but this is supposed to be 20. When you look at the chart right here, so we need to go to the -z chart, right? And then you go to -2.0 and 0.00. So the answer for that is
2.28 or 0.0228.
yeah. So the answer is
2.28%.
yeah, 2.28%. Are we good? So let me just write down a couple of notes. So this one is the -z values, meaning that I have to go to table 3. So I wrote everything on the notes. If you make mistakes on the exam, I got nothing to say, right? It's shame on you. So
Hold on, I'm just writing this.
you're just reading that?
I'm writing it.
Oh, you're writing it. That's really cool. Okay, so now
I'll clear it.
and now we're gonna go to the. Let me just draw this real quick and making sure that we know how to read -2. So I go to -2.0 and 0.00. And then after that, I take the intersection between these two. And I got the answers, which is 2.28%. Okay, so again, that we do not subtract from 1 because the size less than. So we have to read and leave the answer like that. Are we good?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're gonna go to the second part of the questions. So what is the second part of the question? Let me just read that. Can somebody help me read the question real quick?
All I know is that you go to a supermarket and that the mean weight of a turkey is 22 pounds and the standard deviation is 5.
Yeah, this is the part that we have from the question. I know it. I want you to answer the part B questions. What are the part B questions? Find the probability that a randomly selected turkey weighs at least 15 pounds. So what are the chances that when you go to the supermarket and you can find the turkey that weigh at least 15 pounds? Randomly selected turkey weight at least 15 in the supermarket, weight at least 15. Okay, fair enough. So we want to answer this question. So first of all, I need to look at this one, analyze this. This is the P, and this is the X. And at least means what?
X is less than 15.
No, at least means greater than. The minimum is 15.
Oh,
so
sorry, I read it as.
yeah, that's fine. And so I need to do the probabilities. You write them there. P of X greater than 15, and we pretty much do the same thing, right? We're gonna convert it to the Z.
So instead of 12, it would just be 15 minus 22.
And after
Over
that,
5.
over 5 as simple as that. So remember that you have to keep everything the same. We have to convert the X to the Z, right? You cannot just write X right here. That doesn't make sense. So we have to change the letter from X to the Z. And we're gonna take the 15 minus 22 over 5. I feel like I really have a pretty good drawing skill. Do you think?
I think it's good.
That's good. If you say no,
And
I'll
that's
take away.
Picasso. And that's Picasso.
If you say no, I would take away everybody 2 points.
Picasso's
Everybody
been
2
real
points.
quiet.
I'm
Why
practicing.
everybody
I'm
2 points?
practicing. I have a certificate in teaching online, but I never.
What?
I do not have the skill to draw the picture, so I usually do not teach a class online, to be honest. So all we have to do, I'm gonna take 15 minus 22, and we divide it by 5, and then we're gonna get negative 1.4. Are we good? Are we good for that?
Can we leave it
Alright.
as a fraction, or do we have to make it as a decimal?
You have to leave the
cannot
answers to
keep
the
it as a
decimal. You
fraction.
cannot keep it a fraction because you cannot read the chart using the fractions for that.
That
Right?
is
The
also
chart
true.
only in terms of the decimal number.
Okay.
Again, You
I didn't ask that.
you right, and also we have to round up or round down for like 2 decimal number for this, right? So very likely, if you see the question that gives you 3 or 4 decimal number, you have to round up to 2 decimal number or round down to 2 decimal number only. So you can't use 3 because the
Just
chart,
because that's what the chart allows.
yeah, this is what
Yeah,
the chart
okay.
allows us. Yeah. So now after we get the probability of z greater than 0.4, what should we do?
Find the negative 1.4 probability and then subtract it by 1.
Exactly. So this guy is negative. Do we agree?
Yes.
Yes or no? You say no.
Table 3.
Table 3, and you read it, and you can see that by reading the chart, we get the answers is negative 1.4. Do we agree? And then we have to use the first column because there's no second decimal number, and the answer for that is
0.9192.
no 0.808.
Oh, sorry.
9192. That you read the wrong chart. So so the answer for that is 0.808. Okay, but since we have the size greater than, so
I can't. I have to.
I'm sorry.
0.0808.
The final answer is 0.9192.
So the final answer is 0.9192. So the side here mean more than or greater than, then we have to take away from. You have to take away from 1, and so the answer for that is 0.9192. Are we good?
Time is it?
I'm just asking if I should just get out and play a little bit.
8ish.
Okay. So I feel like that's pretty much the part that we have to do, right? So let's go to the part C questions and let's finish this questions. So what is the part C questions? Let me just check. The part C basically wants to find a probability that you pick a turkey in the supermarket and it weighs between 20 and 26 pounds. And we need to change for that. Let me just do it right here. So we're pretty much doing the same thing. But for this type of questions, it should be longer. Do we agree?
Yeah, because you have to do the larger probability minus the smaller probability, right?
Yeah, so between, meaning that you have to write x between 20 and 26. Okay, so this is what we call the x, and this is what we look for the probability. And so now we need to do the math for this question. So I need to find the probability of x about 20 and 26. Do we agree?
Yes.
And then we're pretty much doing the same thing. That we need to convert this to the z-score. Do we agree?
Oh, but then how would you, if you have 2? Oh, do you just have to do the conversion twice?
Yeah, we just do it twice for that.
Okay.
So the first, I want to take 26 minus 22 and over 5. What do we get? We're going to get 0.8. Do we agree?
Yes.
Right? And we do the same thing for this part. We're going to take 20 minus 22 over 5. And then we're going to get negative 0.4. Are we good? Okay, negative 0.4. So after we get these two values, what should we do next?
Find it on the chart.
We're going to find this number on the chart. This one you have to go to table number 3A. And this one you have to go to table number 3. Are we good? So this one is table 3. Table 3.
Sorry, is that negative 0.4?
Yeah, negative 0.4. And this one is table 3A. So when you look for the probability of 0.8, and we got the answers, which is equal to. Right? So we have to look for the probability of 0.8. And when you look it up on the chart, we're going to get 0.781, correct? 0.8. Yeah, we go to 0.8. And since it's 0.8 doesn't have a second decimal number, then we have to go to the first column, and we got the answer, which is 0.781. So in this case, 0.781. Correct? And then to subtract the probability of 0.4. So you have to go to that one. I subtract this. So what is the probability of negative 0.4, everybody?
0.3446.
So we're going to go to negative 0.4, and then we go to the first column, that'll be 0.3446. And this guy is 0.3446.
What?
Okay, and so the answer for that is
0.4435.
0.4435. That's it.
I may or may not left my calculator in Brooklyn.
What's your calculator?
The one that keeps breaking on me.
Okay, so you have to fix them. Again, if
Oh,
you
dear.
do not use the calculator, now you can use the Google calculator for this.
Ooh, even better.
So you can literally just take 0.7. For example, I want to compute this guy. I can take 26 minus 22, okay, over 5. I got 0.8. And this one is 20 minus 22 over 5. Minus 22 over 5. I got negative 0.4, right? And then we read the probability using two different charts. Table 3A for 0.8 and table 3 for negative 0.4. I got these two values, and then we subtract them. I take 0.781 minus 0.3446. And I got the answer, which is 0.4435. Are we good?
Hmm.
And that's pretty much working for every single question. So I call lecture note part 3. Okay. And now we're gonna go to any other concern, any question that you want to work on. Do you want to do one example, or are we good?
I think we're good.
I'm sorry?
I think we're good. I mean, I don't know what anyone else.
Okay, so now we get to that, right? So now we're going to deal with different questions, okay? So this is 6.3. So this is what we call the inverse transformations. So what is the inverse transformations? What we learned from chapter 7, 6.2 is I give you the x, correct? I give you the x, you convert to the z by using the formulas x minus the mean, right, divided by the standard deviation, correct? And then after that, what should we do next? We use table 3 and 3a, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We use table 3 and 3a. Or 3a. So we use this chart to read and find a probability. So this is very straightforward. This is what we call the direct transformations, okay? So this is what we call direct transformation. There's nothing really special with that. I give you X, I give you the mean and standard deviations. I give you the mean and standard deviations. The mean and standard deviations should be given, okay? And all we have to do, just convert to the Z, and from Z, you read the chart to figure out a P. So this is what we call direct transformations. So what is the inverse transformation? The inverse transformations will be something that I give you the P, okay? I give you the P, and then you solve for the Z, okay? The Z will be called the intermediary, right? So you have to use that one number to convert that either the X or the standard deviation, okay? So this is what we call the inverse transformations.
This is what 6.3 is?
Yeah, this is exactly what 6.3 is. Okay, so, and again, that how can we convert the P to the Z? That is not easy. Okay, so we have to read the chart and figure out a Z-score correspondingly. So we have to use, again, this one you have to use table 3 and 3A.
Professor, is that X comma standard deviation or X comma 0?
X comma standard deviations, yeah. Let me just rewrite that real quick and change it, make it small letter. Okay. And how can we solve this guy, right? How can we convert from the Z back to the X or back to the standard deviation? So we need to solve for the X, right? For example, I got the formula right here. The formula is Z equal to the X minus the mean and divided by the standard deviations. How can I solve for the X?
Multiply by the standard deviation,
You multiply by the standard deviation.
I think, right?
Yeah, so we cross them out. And after that,
You rewrite it to multiply on both sides.
and I need to add both sides by the mean. Do we agree?
Mm-hmm.
So we add both sides by the mean and then we solve for the X.
Mm-hmm.
So the X that we have will be the mean plus the Z's times the standard deviations. Are we good?
Wait, so then why is it that why is that the inverse transformation is find the probability to Z to X and standard deviation? Why isn't it just PZX?
PZX, yeah. So there are certain things that the question's going to gives us the mean, but not the standard deviations. There will be a certain question they only give us the standard deviation, not the mean. Okay, so we're gonna figure it out, the other variable for that. So there will be a certain situation where I get the probability, and no, I only get 5% of people who get a certain salary, for example. So what is the salary that I have to look for? According to that, the normal, the model is normal curve. So this is the thing that comes up and we need to solve for that certain topic. So how can I solve for the standard deviation? Let me just rewrite them again. So this is we finished, right? We solve for the mean, and I'm sorry, we solve for X. So how can I solve for the standard deviation? Let me just rewrite the formulas. So
do you have to find the variance?
no,
the mean?
usually
Okay.
that you don't have to solve for the variance. So let me just rewrite a formula for that. So X, the Z equals to X minus the mean over the standard deviation. So I need to solve for this guy. How can I solve for this?
Multiply by this.
Multiply standard deviation minus Z.
Yeah, you multiply the standard deviations. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. And I can cancel it out. I can cross them out, right? I can cross this out. And I want to get rid of the z. So what should we do?
X minus m divided by z.
Divided by z, that's it. And that's pretty much the thing that you have to do. So we cross this out. And finally, we have a standard deviation, which is equal to the x minus the mean and divided by z. Okay, so there will be a certain question that you have to solve for that. There will be a certain question that you have to solve for this, okay? But we cannot solve for both of them, either x or the standard deviation. So you gotta be really careful when the question is asking us to do. So let's take a look at one example for that. The example that we have will be the young investment manager tells his client that the probability of making a positive returns with his suggested portfolio is 90%. If this is known that the returns are normal with the mean equal to 5.6, and what is the risk?
Sorry, what was the question?
What is the risk measured by the standard deviation that this investment manager assumed in his calculation? Everybody see the questions right here?
A young investment manager.
Yeah. Okay.
Ah,
So let me just copy this question and post this here. Okay. Yeah, this question I usually give on the exam, and very few people actually answers correctly. I gave these questions on a final exam, and only 2 people answered this correctly. Okay. So let me just analyze the question real quick, okay? So the question gives us the probability. Do we agree?
is that 5.6%?
No,
Oh,
the
never mind.
5.6% will be the mean.
Oh, sorry.
So the mean that we have is 5.6. Okay, 5.6%. So the mean equal to 5.6. Okay, and what the question is asking us to do? The questions ask us to figure out the standard deviations, correct?
Yeah.
So I need to solve for this guy. Okay, but how can you solve for that? So we use these formulas. Do we agree? So we know the fact that the standard deviation will be x minus the mean and divided by z. Are we good?
Yeah.
So we need to, so the mean that we have is 5.6%.
Wait, isn't 90% 3? Oh, no, it's not. Never mind. Sorry.
90% will be the probability. So we're using a probability to solve for the z, right?
But doesn't the z-score, don't certain z-scores have like specific, like 67%, 90%, and then 97%, or is that something else?
No, it might be something, it can be 1%, it can be 2%. It doesn't have to be following the empirical rule that we learned from chapter 3. So it can be anything, as long as you give me a certain percentages, I can look for the z-score that corresponds to that. Right? It doesn't have to be in that specific case where the difference of one standard deviation would be 68%, the difference of 2 standard deviation would be 95%, and so on and so forth. That those are just the special cases that we want to underline. But other than that, you can give me 1%, I can give you the corresponding z-score. Okay, so this is what we have to look for, right? So the question gives us the probability equal to 90%, but the keyword will be the positive, okay? The positive return. So this will be the keyword that we want you to look at. So what does it mean by positive return? How can I write them down in terms of positive returns? So can I write
So would that
x
be greater than?
greater than what?
Greater than 90.
No. Greater than, what does it mean by positive? How can we write positive, for example? How can we write positive, for example? So I would say, so 5 is positive. So what should I do? So I'm going to write 5 greater than 0, correct?
Oh, so x is greater than 0.
That's perfect. Yeah. So, and I can rewrite x greater than 0 equal to 90%. Are we good? Okay. So x in this case, basically right here. All right.
So whenever you see just positive return, you would say x is greater than 0. And if it said negative return, it would be x is less than 0.
What happened if I say of making a 5% return, for example?
5% return. Oh, so
Making
then it would be x
more
is
than
greater
5%.
than 0.
Yeah, more than 5%. No, more than 5% return. So that should be x greater than 5, right? I can change the question. For example, a young investment manager tells his client that the probability of making a more than 10% return with his suggested portfolio is 90%. So what does it mean? So I can rewrite that as the P of x greater than more than 10%, right? So you have to be careful what the questions ask us to do. So in this case, the positive will be the keyword. So after I get the P of x greater than 90, so I can convert that to the P of x less than 90, right? Less than 0 will be 90. Are we will be 10%. Are we good? So this one will be 10%, right?
Oh, you flip the sign so it's equal to, okay, got it. Yeah.
Why do we have to flip the sign?
Because you're saying that x is less than 0. It's because it's a negative return. So because it's a negative return, you have to flip it, and then so you'd have to subtract 1 minus 0.9.
Yeah, but why do we have to flip to the less than, but not the greater than?
Because then that would give you the left side of the graph.
Exactly. Yeah. So I need to look for the left side of the graph and read it on the table to figure out the z-score. So let me just repeat that again. So the reason why I need to change that to the probability of x less than 0, because I need to look for the probability of a less than, so that I can figure this out on the charts. Okay, so let me just continue on it. So using the chart, using the table number 3 and 3A, let me just highlight this. So 10%, I need to go to the chart that give us.
Oh, I can't see your screen.
Because I just misclicked them. And so I need to go to the chart.
There's a hacker here.
There's a hacker, yeah, that's correct. I need to sue that person. And so if I go to table number 3A, I can never find anything that is close to 10%, correct? The probability. So I do not really use table number 3A. So the only thing that I have to use would be table number 3. So this is where I can get the probability that is close to 10%. And I have to use that to look for the corresponding z-score, okay? So using this chart, can somebody have a good eyes to tell me what is which column or which box that is close to 10% right here? 0.1.
No.
No, you don't see that? So you can start from 1.3, you're gonna get 0.9, 0.09.
Negative 1.2. Oh,
Negative-
wait, no, sorry. Negative 1.28.
Are you sure?
Isn't it? Because you said
Yeah,
closest to 10%,
Yeah,
right?
close to 10%, that's correct. So we keep going, right? We keep going. You see that those percentages are decreasing. So 0.1131, 0.1112, and so on and so forth. Keep going, and then we can figure this out. The probability that correspond to, the probability of 0.1 that correspond to the z-score will be negative 1.28. Are we good?
Wait,
So-
I don't understand how we got to negative 1.2.
Yeah.
So the whole reason behind them is I have to use table 3 or 3A, table 3 or 3A to find the z-score. Remember, we need to look for the z-score in order to answer the questions. So
you find the z-score closest to 10%, right?
Close to 10%.
Okay.
There's no way that I can get the exact 10% on this chart. So using the chart that I can see the answers that close to 10%. So what is the 10%? So the 10% should be around here. Everybody see the mouse that I have? 0.1003. Are we good? If you use 0.09
It's not 10%.
A5, that's perfectly okay. I accept that. But usually it's better that we use 0.1003. Are we good? So this number basically close to 10%. Right? So the z-score that we came up with is negative 1.28. So the z-score that we have would be negative 1.28. Are we good? So now I need to solve for the questions. So remember, the form that we solve for the standard deviation will be equal to the x minus the mean and divided by the z, correct? So what is the x? So the x equal to 0, right? Positive return minus the mean is 5.6. Are we good? And we divided by the standard deviation is negative 1.28.
So if there is a positive return, x is 0.
Positive
Okay.
return means x equal to 0.
What if there's a negative return?
Negative return will be x less than 0.
But will x always be 0?
It depends.
Unless stated otherwise?
Yeah, unless
Okay.
it's stated. For example, I might change the question to a young investment manager tell his client that the chance of making less than 2% return. So how can I write them down? So that'll be P of x less than 2%, right? So the x will be 2. But if I change the question, a young investment manager tells his client that the probability of making a negative returns, so we're going to have P of x less than 0, right? So we don't have to convert to, we don't have to take 1 minus 0.9 to get these values, right? So generally, we have one more step if I give you the question positive returns. So in this case, that I get the answers, which is negative 1.28. After I get all of this, right? After I get all of that, I'm going to take 0 minus 5.6 divided by negative 1.28. And what is the answer for that? So the answers for that, it will be equal to Can somebody tell me what's the answers? So the answer will be 4.375. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So this is the answer for the questions. Okay.
So just to make sure,
4.
when you're doing a problem like this where it's the inverse transformation,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not given x, then x is always 0, regardless of whether it's a positive or a negative return.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the question should give us the x and not to solve the questions. But if this is the case, and so we need to, we have to analyze that. So I would consider this is going to be the hardest question that you might have on the exam. Yeah, regarding the thing that you have to look for, right? We have to look for the mean, we have to look for the x, and then we have to use the probability. You have to use the chart. We have to use the probability to solve for the z-score. We have to look for the z-score and plug that in and subtract and divide to get a final answer. So that's pretty awesome questions.
So what
Good
would
thing I have Professor Google.
if
You go for these questions, you don't get the answer solved.
let's just say that we're given it an x. How would it be? Do you know how would it be worded? Like in the question, like what would be the x?
I'm sorry.
Like, how would that be? How would we know what is the X in the question? Is what I'm trying to.
Let me just change the question a little bit, okay? So,
you.
for example, I might change this question to can I save this file first?
Yeah.
So that be lecture notes part 4, I believe, right? That's fair enough. And let me just save this. So, for example, I can change the question to something like this. Okay, for example, I might change that to, instead of making a positive return, I can change to like making more than 10%, 10% return, for example. So what that means?
That 10 is X.
Yeah, 10 will be the X, right? 10% will be the X. Or maybe less than 15%. How can I write?
15 would be the
X is greater than 15.
Yeah, S less than 15.
Oh, X is
And
less than 15. Sorry.
what about I change the question to negative returns?
Still 0.
Still 0 for that, right? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, that seems should be
So
awesome.
will we usually get the word return then as an indicator, or it could be anything?
As an indicator for the X.
Return
for this
is
type of questions. Yeah, for
Okay.
this type of question. But there are a
So-
lot of questions that we might consider. So let me just try out another question that we have for the homework problem.
And then someone asked, what if the probability equals to a certain number?
What if the probability equals to a certain number? That is, yeah. So the probability have to be in terms of percentage. It cannot be in terms of a certain number. So let's say it should be like 10%, 20%, 25%. So let me just go to homework on chapter 6. Do we agree? And let me just point out a very interesting questions for us to do. So this is pretty much exactly the same question that we have earlier. And let's assume that I want to answer this question. This is, let me just point out one question real quick. This question is really fun. And okay, so for example, the manager of the nightclub in the Boston state that 95% of customers are between the ages. Let me just point it out real quick for that. Okay. Okay. So this is what the question looks like. And how can we answer this question? Okay, so we analyze that. So do we believe this guy will be the mean equal to 25?
Yes.
Right. And what is that number tells you?
95% is the probability.
Will be the P, right? 100% sure. That's gonna be the P. It's gonna be the P. And what else do we have to know?
22 and 28 are the X.
So remember, the X usually one single value. So you gotta be really careful for that. Okay, let me draw a picture real quick.
Between the ages of 22 and 28.
22 and 28. The mean is 25. So that will be the peak, okay? I gave these questions last year, not last semester, but last year. There were certain people I can answer, but most people actually really playing on this type.
Oh, so would you just take the difference between the two?
Yeah, that's so this guy will be 95%. Do we agree? Are we good? This
So
guy will
that
be
question is kind of just like super easy. It kind of feels like a trick question, but is the
Yeah.
answer just 3?
The answer is just 3. Yeah.
Wait, sorry. So between
no.
ages?
The answer is not 3. You gotta be really careful. And we look for the standard deviations. Right?
So then would
So-
your x be 5?
Let me just rewrite the formula real quick. So the formula for that would be the x minus the mean over the z, correct? So I'm sorry, the standard deviation of x minus the mean over the z. Okay. So 95%. What do you think? What is this number? What is that percentage?
95%.
2.5.
2.5%. Do we agree? So
Hmm?
this value corresponds to 0.025. Are we good?
Oh, that's on the what's it
That's
called?
from like a previous chapter.
That's
This is
previous
combining things that we
Oh,
learned,
yeah,
and this
because-
is making my brain hurt.
That makes sense.
All right. So we're literally going to figure this out later on. So the z basically close to 2. Let me just help you do that. Okay. Do we believe that the probability of the person who go to the bar nightclub less than 22 will be 2.5%? Do we agree? Right.
Oh, because the other side's also 0.025, so
Yeah,
it has to go out to
0.025.
100. Okay, I see now. Okay.
Now I have to go to the chart. Let me just go to the chart real quick. So go to the chart of the 0.025. So we have to look for the negative z values as well. So can somebody help me look for the z-score that close to 0.025? 0.0222, 0.027? No.
Wouldn't it just be
Negative 1.96.
1.96.
Yeah, 1.96.
No, 1.96 actually. So so the value that corresponds to the z-score of 0.025 that I can find on the chart would be equal to the z of negative 1.96, correct? Are we good?
and then do we have to do the 28-year-old one now?
So we're gonna take 22, the x will be 22, right? So this will be the x.
Why not 28?
If I use 28, then they have to look for this guy, which is 0.975.
Does it matter which one you use?
Doesn't matter. So
Oh, so I can either use 22 or 28.
if you want to use 28, then you have to look for the probability that go to the left side, which correspond to 97.5%. Okay, so in this case, I use 22 to make my life simple. And I take 22 minus the mean is 25. Do we agree?
Can you make like a little note that says you can use either 22 or 28?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So
Okay.
I divide it by 1.96. And what is the answer for that?
It's
22 minus 25
over negative
over
1.96.
negative 1.96. I should get the answer.
34.75. Oh, what?
1.53. Right?
My calculator's busted.
Yeah. Yes, you're drunk for that. So
I got it.
okay, so yeah, this is the answer. So for those of you, let's say I don't want you to do it that way. Can I use another syntax instead of using 22? Can I use 28? So I can rewrite these questions with respect to the probability of x less than 28, right? So what do you think? So x less than 28, so that should be 95% plus 2.5%. So that should be 0.975. Do we agree?
Yeah.
And then we do the same thing for that. We go to the z-score. And what is the answers?
It's 1.96
They're
again.
basically 1.96 again because they're basically symmetric. And so we're gonna go to 1.9 and 0.06. We got 0.975, which is also to be the same thing, 1.96. And we also do that for the standard deviations. will be 28. I can take 28 as well. Minus 25 over 1.96.
Negative 1.5306.
So 1.53 as well. What do you think about chapter 3 that you learned? Do we believe that the difference of 2 standard deviation will be 95%? Do we agree?
Sorry, say that again.
The difference of 2 standard deviation will be 95%.
The difference between 2 standard deviations.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Oh,
Yeah.
2 standard deviations away from the mean, yes.
So 2 standard deviations will be 95%. Do we agree?
Yes.
Away from the mean. So we're going to take x, the mean plus and minus. Okay. The difference of 2 standard deviation will be 95%. Plus and minus. Okay. So in fact, I can figure out a difference of 2 standard deviations. So that would be equal to what? So 2 standard deviation, do we believe that basically close to 3? Yes or no?
2 standard deviations is equal to 3?
Yeah.
Oh, is it because 22 minus 28?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
No. 25 minus 22. Or 28 minus 25. You know that.
Because you're
Oh,
skipping
yeah.
like that middle standard deviation line, right?
Yeah. So do you believe that a standard deviation will be 3 over 2? That basically
Yeah.
1.5.
So if we did it that way on like a quiz or an exam, would that be acceptable?
Well, I would basically take away 2 points
Oh,
for the thing.
Uh,
But I mean, that's pretty much like a workable approach. I might take away 1 point, so let's just want to be fair. So if you this chapter 3 approach, we know the fact that different of 2 standard deviations. I know this is going to be a 2 standard deviations, right? And this also be 2 standard deviations. And so you have to add 2 standard deviations from the left, from the right, and add subtract 2 standard deviations from the left side. So we got basically 95%. Yes or no? So we know the difference between them would be 3. And then divide both sides by 2, I got the answer, which is 1.5 as well. What do you think?
Yep.
I give people like different approach to solve problem, and actually very got it right on the exam. But anyhow, so this is the first part. When we come back tomorrow, when we come back on Thursday, we're gonna work through for the X part as well. Okay. So we're gonna see each other again. So the lecture note will be posted on Blackboard. So that will be part 5, I believe. And the lecture note, the note that we have right here, will be posted on Blackboard. And also, if you have enough time, if you can help me read this one, that would be fantastic. So if you can help me read the thing that we have for the notes on the bottom part, that would be great. If you don't have time, that's cool. We're gonna go over this question again. And when we come back on Thursday, we're basically going to have, we're going to finish chapter 6, and then we go over some topic, like classwork on chapter 5, and so on and so forth. Okay? So,
sorry, I had a question about the exam 2 review. So you want us to submit the answers of the exam 2 review on Blackboard?
yeah, so what you have to do, I believe that you can use I'm going to give you guys the website that you can download the app and take the pictures and submit it as a single PDF file for free. You don't have to pay for that. And so you can submit it. I'm going to make a folder for that. So the folder should be around here. So let's say.
So are the questions based on, and do you want us to show our work or just the answers?
Show work. You have to show work for that. Yeah.
And so is it based on correctness or completion?
Completions. If you make some mistakes on it, I do not take away point, but you have to complete and show me the work how you solve a problem.
Okay, got
before I post the solution on Blackboard. So again, that the exam review will be posted under document file, which is that one. Okay. I'm gonna click. You click on it. You're gonna see solutions and exam review question right here.
And it's due on Monday,
It's
or
due.
like,
It's due on
12.
Tuesday. Yeah.
but
Next
it's
Tuesday.
due before class.
Before. Yeah, before class.
Okay, got it.
All right. So I hope you guys stay safe and healthy, and we're gonna see you chat again
Okay,
Thursday.
thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Wait, are you taking attendance? Wait, did he say he was
Oh
taking
yeah.
attendance? at the
So
end?
Oh.
we seem to take attendance for that.
Oh my god, my man.
Oh my goodness.
Hey.
You have to. You have
Got
to.
a lot of stuff.
I almost hit leave.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I gotta get the grade, man. I gotta get the grade.
So
Period.
you gotta give me some time to take attendance. So let me just see how many people right here. Let me see who absent. So Anthony, Leon, Olivia, Waters, Justin's absent, right?
I've been participating all day.
Justin's always absent. He never comes to class.
Yeah, I never go to class.
I haven't heard from him since, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that
been playing
is.
too much. Y'all,
Justin.
Corona's gone to y'all brains, man. I don't know.
So yeah, I feel like people absent a lot of times. So I'm gonna mark all of you absent today. Just want to be fair. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, totally. Thanks.
Okay, because nothing
Totally
actually
fair.
noise. And so Debbie is here, Dan is here, Gabber is here, Isabel is here, and Lynn's here. Who is Little? Yes, I keep forgetting it. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. All right, that's fair enough. So let me just mark the names real quick. Lynn, Brad is here.
No
Right.
idea.
No idea. Really.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yes, you're here. Okay. And Anthony's not here, right? Somebody said that. Somebody just backstabbed you, saying that you was absent. And Danner's here. Danner's here. Danner's not here. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. And Neha is here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. And Lambo is here. Justin's absent. Leon's absent. So just kidding. Okay.
Thanks.
I mean, that looks like a good part of it, and everybody is here. Oh, okay. So that's pretty much it, and I will see you guys.
Where's me?
I'm sorry.
Silverman
We're at the
Franklin.
bottom.
Right here. I don't mark you absent
No.
to that.
Silverman Franklin, the other Olivia.
Olivia,
The other Olivia.
Oh, the other one.
where is it? I
Where
couldn't
am
find
I?
it. I couldn't find your
Second
name.
page. There's probably the
Second
second page.
It goes in alphabetical order. Why should
There I
she's
am.
right there?
There I
Oh,
am.
there she is. There she is.
Woo! All right, I'm
Okay.
here.
All right, that's good enough.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right,
Bye.
take good care. I'll see you
Bye.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Stay safe, guys.